Hello, and welcome to another episode of Sit and See. My friends, comrades, colleagues on the path, this is day 30 of almost continuous streaming of these free classes, and it has been a whirlwind. I'm Dr. Jared Jones. My background includes 20 years of Buddhist practice, 5 years of Taoist practice, and a full academic career, about 10 years on and off in the Western Academy, studying ancient systems of meditation, cognitive science of meditation, and Buddhist philosophy. So, um, wow, what a first 30 days trying to see if the world wants something like this. My goodness, it seems like you do, because I've gone from, I think it was 230 or something subscribers to 2,030 subscribers in 30 days. So maybe the world wants some kind of meditation they can do in the midst of real life, and maybe the Buddhist world wants some advice on how to counteract some of the weird ideas floating around about Buddhism on the web, and both amongst Buddhists and amongst people who would prefer that Buddhism go out of existence. So here's to you. Thank you for making this first month happen and being able to upgrade the setup so that things look and sound much better than they did 30 days ago. As some of you know, I teach everything for free. That goes for phone calls and personal advice, all of my meditation courses, my retreats, the content that I make. I'm also trying to keep ads off of the content. And for those of you who might be your first time in this class today, I generally hang out and take open questions about meditation, your personal practice, before we get started. So you're welcome to just chime in rather than have me drone on for the next 10 minutes. A lot of exciting things coming up. For those of you who are in the chat, I'm not doing an open Q&A today because I have a class with one of my own teachers right after this meditation class, so I won't be able to do that. Also, I've been editing this new piece about Ravi Zacharias' work. Most of you who will have heard of Ravi Zacharias will have only heard of his probably just the videos that he has floating around the web. And so I respond to those, except for one critical point that I'm going to respond to in a different video. But I also read good portions of 3 of his books and every relevant portion of 2 of his books that are polemical works against Buddhism, and I'm going to respond to every major point in those books. Well, my friends, it seems to me that we have a few people in the room, but the chat is quite quiet, so either my stream has died and YouTube is not telling me, or perhaps you're new people and don't know what to say, or you're just listening while you're cooking dinner. Let me just double check to make sure that everything is okay on my side. And if it is, then I will proceed as usual. Daily meditation class. So, if you're new to meditation, good. Okay. If you're new to meditation, okay, fair enough, fair enough. Hello, welcome, welcome. Good. Yeah, I had to look. It was so quiet. Okay. If you're new to meditation, then let me know in the chat and we'll do the basic stuff. Otherwise, if it's people who have been here more than once, I thought we might go straight from a short, intensive breath into body scanning into one of the more sophisticated techniques. You may be able to do these also if you've done some retreats or some practice in another tradition already. Even though if you've been here for more than one of my classes, you know that I think it behooves us all to get very clear about what techniques are best for what. Okay. So before we get going, I'll just do a brief overview, since I'm not getting any questions in the chat, about meditation in general. So if you look at the system for meditation described in the Bhavanakrama, which is from the height of the Middle Indian period, the great Buddhist scholars and saints of Nalanda and a couple of other major monasteries, sort of the height of Buddhism in India and a couple of other places at that time. Kamalashila was one amongst the most important scholars and practitioners of that era, and he wrote a text on how to attain single-pointed concentration, the Bhavanakrama. And so let me see. Someone did put a question through. Prior to turning into your videos, I was doing shamatha meditation, but it seems like you just go straight to step 11. And the 5 points works for me, though. I'm not sure what you mean by step 11. Step 11 would be enlightenment. I wish we could all jump to straight on realizing emptiness directly, but no, we're not quite there yet. Okay, so he lays it out in terms of attaining and training and concentration in 9 stages. The first stage is accomplished when you can get your mind to the object of meditation. And for a lot of you, that will sound like, wait a minute, haven't I already done that? Why are we even talking about this? I'm not sure what you mean by it. You'd have to define what you mean by step 11. So contacting the object of meditation is actually not easy. And a lot of people spend a lot of time doing things that are not contacting the object, thinking they're meditating, and they haven't even got started. So the sign that you've contacted the object is that you will realize your mind is absolutely out of control. So when people reach out to me doing the first technique that I teach and they say, my meditation is worse than ever, usually I just say, good, fantastic, finally. You've finally touched down on reality for the first time. You can't see how bad your mind is until you actually get it to stay somewhere for a short period of time and realize that you cannot keep it there whatsoever. And your mind runs away. And then all of a sudden you go, whoa, my mind is really out of control. So you've attained the first stage when you realize your mind is totally wacko. Then you have to actually go through a process of, with great force, according to the text, holding your mind on the object, basically as if your life depends upon it. Because your distractions are going to try to rip you off that object as if their life depends upon it. So you need something with a great deal of force to take you to take your mind off of those distractions and keep it on the object. So the first 2 stages, you need a type of attention that they call forceful conveying in the technical jargon of meditation. Forceful conveying. Great force, great intention. And it actually helps to also have a fantastic motivation behind that force and intention. So you're not just doing it by brute force, but you have a really good reason. Why am I doing this? Okay, here's all the benefits. Here's all the drawbacks if I don't do it. And you get yourself totally pumped so that the stakes are incredibly high. And then with that mind, highly motivated, great force, bang, bring it to the object and keep it there. Through that kind of energetic effort, then you'll be able to keep it there for longer and longer periods until you get to, let's call it, somewhere between 30 seconds and 5 minutes. Okay. So in that window, your mind is still mostly running around, but you're able to get it to stay on the object for short periods of time. And it'll stay there for short periods of time, even though it's still running around most of the time. So it's pretty easy to bring it back once you notice that it's gone, but it's still running around a lot. So this is stage 2. Stage 3, now your mind mostly stays on the object, and as soon as it starts to run away, you notice. So this is called patch-like fixation, because immediately when you see a hole, a gap in the concentration, you patch it up, and then you're back to concentration. And when you get to the third stage, the effort, the force of your attention becomes less because it's mostly staying on the object now, and you have a habit of doing it. And so now, finally, you're not resting yet, but it's not a life and death struggle with your mind. Then, same quality of attention, still requires effort, but that effortful attention will allow you to transition over to what's called, what do they call it? I think they just call it placement. I always forget what stage 4 is called. So stage 4, you can keep your mind on the object and it doesn't run away, but then you have a new problem. So the new problem is, as some of you know, when your mind gets a little bit concentrated and it stays with an activity for a while, it falls asleep. So this is called laxity in the technical jargon of meditation. Laxity, that your mind starts to sink, it starts to drop, it becomes less lucid because it distracts inwardly towards what is a really nice state of concentration for the first time. So it becomes concentrated, it becomes more calm, and you go, ooh, this is nice. And more of your attention gets focused on how nice that calm feeling is until the sometimes I say, at first you're on the object and it's like 4K or, it's HD. And then your attention starts to divide and the object becomes more and more hazy until it's just static, and then you fall asleep. So just for those of you who are new to this particular live stream, this is meditation questions only time. Open Q&A is open Q&A. This is meditation Q&A, and it should be about your personal practice at the moment, what you're struggling with on the cushion, okay? So then once you overcome that sleepiness by brightening the mind and keeping it fully focused on the object once again so it doesn't distract inwardly, then you start to notice that there's another class of distraction, not so important what that one is. Once you overcome that, then you have the problem that your mind has these subtle movements. They say it's like water under the ice of a frozen river. No thoughts actually occur, but there's this movement that if you let it grow and you let it build, will become a thought and take you off the object. And so the effort becomes even subtler. It doesn't require much effort to keep on the object anymore, but you now have to turn your attention to being highly aware of the quality of your mind. Instead of just focusing and making it stable, you need to be even more lucid, even more bright to see what exactly is my mind doing while I'm holding it on this object. And you have to very subtly just increase and reduce the amount of pressure you're putting on holding it on the object so that process of ideation, that slight movement, goes away. Once that slight movement goes away, the next stage is that you have what's called subtle laxity. And subtle laxity is a bit difficult to explain, but if any of you have ever played sports or music or maybe done theater or martial arts, occasionally you have that sort of flow state where it seems like almost like you're invincible and you can't make a mistake and you see everything, you hear everything. Your mind is just absolutely crystal clear, stunningly bright, and it's flexible, ready to do anything, right? It's just, and things almost move in slow motion. So that quality, roughly speaking, because we're using an analogy, right? But that quality of extremely bright, lucid, flexible awareness is called subtle clarity. And that subtle clarity, that subtle lucidity, counteracts what's called subtle laxity, which is just the absence of that. It's not even really a new thing. It's just the fact that you don't have that. And so when you can get the mind into that condition and maintain that condition while you're holding concentration, now finally you're meditating for the first time. Everything else leading up to that was just getting ready to meditate. So that's now, for the first time, actually single-pointed concentration. It's not wavering, and it's lucid and fresh. It's clear and knowing. Okay? Then, still, it takes effort to hold you in that condition, so you can't do it forever. You'll get tired. Maybe you can do it for 4 hours or something like this, but you'll get tired and you'll fall out of it. And the faults will return, and you have to stop. And so, through doing more of it now the effort changes again. You have to do more practice. You have to spend more time cultivating, and eventually it becomes effortless. You don't need effort to maintain the state, and at this point, again, you can still wear out doing it, but it takes way longer. And then finally, you achieve the 10th stage, which actually isn't on the map. It's the accomplishment of the steps and stages of the previous stages of meditation, which is called calm abiding. So finally, you're in a state of samadhi, full-on samadhi for the first time, which includes a new quality that's called pliancy, or more technically, the absence of physical and mental dysfunction. What does this mean? If you've ever heard that great yogis can sit in meditation for 3 days or a week or a month if they want to, without sleeping or drinking or eating, this sort of thing, that's pliancy, agility, a lack of mental and physical dysfunction. Your concentration becomes so profound that sitting in concentration feeds your mind and body in some sense, or that your metabolism slows down so much you can simply sit for basically as long as you want. So finally, with this extremely sharp mind, you can then do vipassana. For those who are interested in vipassana, you need that mind to do vipassana, by the way, which is why I don't teach vipassana. I teach rumination meditation. To do rumination meditation, or to do vipassana, you need the skills that you build up in analysis from a different type of meditation where you're changing objects, you're looking at logical reasons, you're using a bit of conceptuality in the midst of your state of concentration that otherwise is unwavering, etc. Combining these skill sets into one unified action to realize how things are, that's vipassana. Analytic meditation, special seeing, special insight. That is my TED Talk for the day. Thank you for coming. Okay, let's see if there's questions in the chat. Are there YouTube channels that are good for Buddhism? I've seen some stuff around. I don't have any channels where I go, wow, everything that comes out of this channel is fantastic. But I have seen some videos sort of individually, or some little collections of teachings by certain people that are quite good. I don't have any offhand, unfortunately. Dylan, I don't know about Yogananda either. I don't know much about him. I don't know much about his teachings, but I've met a couple of his students, and was extremely impressed by their character. One of his students that I met, and another one who I saw on video, a few videos, I was very impressed by their character, and from what I could tell, their ability to actually do difficult practice and proper meditation. So, yeah. I mean, if it weirds you out because it's a little bit too intense, then fair enough. I had a realization yesterday that internal feelings and sensations are essentially the same as external sounds. Okay, my friends, just to remind you, if it's your first time, this is meditation Q&A. So things that are coming up in your actual practice, personally, that you're struggling with or you want to share to get my feedback on, that's what we're doing today. I'm trying not to answer general questions or it turns into something pretty wild. You're welcome, Earth Wombat. What a name. Are you in Australia? Crikey. Okay. Dylan, I would want to talk to you more about the experience you described. There are non-dual experiences which aren't actually mystical. It's just that you're normally, for example, we know this from cognitive science. Again, this is not mystical. When you can actually do it and you see it, you go, wow, everything has to change now because nothing is like I thought. But you can actually explain it in a pretty reasonable way. Non-dual experiences where you recognize that, for example, what you're seeing and the thing that's doing the seeing are the same, coming from the same place, right? And we know this, again, from cognitive science. Your eyeball gets stimulated by light. That information goes into your mind. Your mind arranges it into an image, and what you experience isn't the world. What you experience is the image. So what you see, what you actually see on the screen here, the room you're sitting in, is your mind having been stimulated by the world, of course, but the part you get to see is mental. It's stuff your mind is coming up with based upon how it's been stimulated. So normally your mind puts this concept on top that says this stuff's all the way over here and it's out here and it has nothing to do with me. And this stuff over here, my internal subjective experience, is all the way over here. This has to do with me, and the world is not me and has nothing to do with me. If you train in concentration, you sort of, to use this analogy, I do this sometimes. This is how it seems normally. Here's the world over here, totally doing its own thing, and I'm just sort of observing from over here. But when you train in meditation, you train in concentration, all of a sudden you see this part and you go, oh, wait a minute. Right? These two come together. they're not the same thing, but you can't pull them apart. I mean, I wouldn't want to pull myself apart, but you know what I mean. You can't actually take the subject and object and pull them apart. So when you pull back concept through concentration, you experience that your visual consciousness is the thing producing the visual world, and you're not actually looking at the world. You experience that directly. And I'm not making any promises because that's not a good thing to do, but the people that have trained with me pretty seriously, most of them have had experiences like that within 3 years or so of training. So it's not even an advanced experience. It's just something that happens along the way. It's something you need to do to carry on getting to further, deeper experiences and more important kinds of training. It will be life-changing when it happens because it's 180 degrees away from how you thought the world exists in terms of your experience. But yeah, okay. Aja, I'm going to leave that question because it's theoretical. Come to an open Q&A or put it in the comments section below one of the videos and I'll answer it. Like I said, this is only meditation questions and personal practice questions only. Sure, Earth Wombat. Meditation is really good for falling asleep, actually, especially if you're not very good at meditation yet. If you do a body scan trying to fall asleep, most people will fall asleep in minutes. That's how the U.S. military trains people to fall asleep in the middle of combat zones. So if you get good at body scanning, you can make your nervous system really calm and your body a lot more comfortable, and it's easier to relax and easier to fall asleep. For studying, I think you need a different technique. You need something like what I call the opening the 5 external sense gates, because you need to be able to generate a state of concentration on the visual field or the auditory field and keep that concentration's quality quite good as you go through the activity. And also some of what I call Foundation 5, rumination meditation, so that you can see something, hear something, then you're thinking about it and you don't get pulled off the task as you continue to think about it, and it changes your knowledge and opinion and whatever on the subject, right? So yeah, all of these activities can be turned into active meditation training and can be improved by meditation training. And that's a big part of what I do, because if you're living in the real world, you have to turn stuff into training or there's not enough time to do the training, is the bottom line. How do I prepare for sleep personally? Usually I'm so finished by the end of the day, I just sort of pass out on my couch. It really helps if you just don't stop whatever you've been doing since 7 in the morning until it's 1 in the morning, and then bang, you're done. Okay. Thank you for coming, Zhao. Zhao, do come back another time, especially when I'm doing Q&A, if you have more sort of broad questions. Happy to answer those another time or put them in the comment section. Okay, my friends, we have reached the time where we're actually going to do some practice. Okay? So for those of you who are new, hang in there, because I'm going to go a little bit faster through the the beginner techniques, which are not beginner techniques. I call them foundations because you can't build the house without the foundations. These are just the things you need to do if you want to be better at meditation. You have to do them in some form, and I've tried to put them in a form that's good for people like us living in the real world. Okay, so find a good seat. You don't have to be on a meditation cushion. Just sit somewhere that your body is actually comfortable and you can get your spine straight. You don't want your spine artificially sort of straight. As you can see, it's comfortable, right? Comfortable, natural, but upright. Unless you've been doing this a really long time and you're working on certain kind of practices where it matters, it doesn't actually matter where your hands are. Just put them somewhere that they don't distract you and that your shoulders don't get tired. Okay? And then as for your neck and your chin, if you do this, your neck and your upper back will get tired and sore. And if you do that for a couple hours a day, you'll actually end up with neck problems. And then you won't be able to meditate because your neck will hurt too much. So don't do that. So what you actually want to do is just this. So I didn't do anything like this with my neck. My neck's still in the same position, and I just lower the chin, which is this joint right here at the top of the skull. All right? So just make the body as comfortable as you can. For those of you who haven't done this practice with me before, it's going to be different probably than breath practice you've done in the past. That will be okay. If you're wondering why I do it that way and you didn't catch the first part of the stream, just go back and watch the first part and you'll understand. All right, so let's start with intensive breath meditation. This practice is only 5 minutes, and today we're only going to do 2 minutes of it before we transition into the next exercise. So the way this works is that you're going to consider all of the things I just said about meditation earlier in the stream and realize that if you had a mind that could do what we just described, your life would be dramatically better. Your emotions would be under control. Your attitudes would be under control. You could reshape the entire surface of your mind. Every personal problem you've ever had would be dramatically improved. Normally, when you quit things or don't accomplish things, it's because your mind got in the way. So if you take control of the mind, you can accomplish virtually whatever you want within some limits, but they're pretty extraordinary limits. So considering the incredible benefits of training in concentration, and considering that the opposite of everything I just said is true, if you don't train in meditation, you don't get those benefits, and you'll be dragged around by your mind for the rest of your life. The stakes are very, very high, and the great masters say you should bring this to mind when you're trying to get your mind to stay on the object. Your worldview affects your ability to concentrate. Breathe in through the nose naturally. Find a patch of skin where you can feel the tactile sensations of breathing. When I say begin, I want you to take all of your attention from your entire body, every bit of attention you have. Close your eyes so that you have even more attention to put on the tactile sensations of breathing. And I want you to put every single ounce of your being into that patch of skin. And I'm not exaggerating, as if your life depends upon it, as if your entire future depends upon it, because it does, in actual fact. 3, 2, 1, begin. Okay, relax your attention a bit. Don't pull yourself completely out, just stop doing anything in particular. Let the awareness spread over the whole body. And then pool the awareness again, just in the tactile sensations in the left foot, left ankle, left calf, left knee, lower half of the left thigh, and the remaining part of the left thigh. Then let the mind come to rest inside the hip joint if you're able. Move to the right foot. Right ankle. Right calf. Right knee. Lower half of the right thigh. Upper half. Into the right hip joint. Front of your pelvis. The back of your pelvis. Find the sacrum, which is the part of your spine that runs through the pelvis. And follow that down to the tailbone. And just like you did with the breath, squeeze your awareness into the tailbone. Move forward to the anus, perineum. And since there are both men and women on the stream, go through your own sexual organ at your own pace and come to rest at the tip or the most sensitive point. Now come to the front of your waist, the back of your waist, the front of the diaphragm belt, the back of the diaphragm belt, the front of the chest, the back of the chest, left shoulder, bicep, elbow, forearm, wrist, palm and the back of your hand, thumb, pointer, middle, ring, pinky, come to the right shoulder, bicep, elbow, forearm, wrist, palm and the back of your hand. Thumb, pointer, middle, ring, pinky, the bottom third of your neck, middle third of your neck, upper third of your neck, into the joint between the neck and the skull. The back of your scalp, left side, right side, left ear, right ear, forehead, left eyebrow, left eye, right eyebrow, right eye, nose, left cheek, including your temple, right cheek, including your temple, upper lip, lower lip and chin, top lip, bottom lip, the skin inside your cheeks, quick scan of your teeth, roof of your mouth, underneath your tongue, and your tongue. Now put your awareness in the tip of the tongue. Move backwards to the throat. Hold the throat. Move straight up now, finally to the top of the head. So just become aware of the whole top of your scalp. If they're not already open, slowly, slowly, slowly open the eyes. Now we're going to do what's called Mahamudra practice, which is learning how to rest your awareness on the fundamental nature of the five external senses. So this is in the same family of practices as things like Shikantaza, Zazen, and so forth, but it's more accessible, and it leads to the same place, but it's more accessible. So just let your eyes relax and point forward. To point your eyes in any direction requires that you tense the little muscles around the eyes, and for this exercise you don't need to do that. So you're just going to gaze without looking anywhere in particular, without looking at any object in particular. Point your eyes forward. Now, pull your awareness back so that you're taking in the entire visual field, as if it's one big television screen or computer screen, phone screen, so that you're sort of beholding the whole image as one thing. Now, while you're sort of beholding the whole image as one thing, without changing where your eyes are, without moving your eyes, just become aware within that image of the stuff that's to the front. Now let your awareness swim around. Become aware of the stuff that's closest to vision, which I'm going to call to the back for the sake of later exercises. So the stuff that's closest to your vision is going to be the nose, eyebrows, maybe your upper cheeks, depends. Okay, relax that. Become aware of everything that's as far to the left in your peripheral vision as you can without moving the eyes. Let that go and swim to the right across the television screen of your vision. Become aware of everything as far to the right as you can. Let the awareness swim upward now to the highest point. And let the awareness swim downward to the lowest point. Now we're going to combine points. Try, if you can, to become aware of the whole middle of the visual field, which includes both what is furthest to the front and what is furthest to the back. Let that go. Become aware of what is furthest to the right and furthest to the left. Let that go. Become aware of what is furthest above and furthest below. And while you're doing that, let me just say that your eyes are fine. One of the things that happens if you stare in one direction for a long time is that you'll see white light, gold light, geometric shapes. You'll lose distinctness in the visual field. Your eyes are fine. It'll return to normal as soon as you start looking around, so don't worry. Don't become distracted by what's appearing in the field. Just continue to be aware of the entire visual field no matter what appears there, including light, geometric shapes, weird stuff. Don't let your mind get drawn into what's happening. Okay, let go of the up and down. Bring the awareness now. We're going to try to do all 6 at the same time. We're going to build it up. So front and back, left and right, up and down. Hold the 6 points. If you can't do all 6, then just ignore front and back and do up, right, left, down. Refresh your awareness. Front, back, left, right, up, down. Hold 6 directions. that's really hard, just stay with that or stay with 4 points, rather, 4 directions, rather. If that's going well, then just relax your mind a little bit so that you're not holding any particular direction and become aware of the entire visual field as one object. Okay, to come out of this practice, just relax the effort of what you're doing and slowly look around, very slowly, and your eyes should return to normal. So, this is part of what I call Foundation 4 in the techniques that I teach. Learning how to rest your mind on the actual consciousnesses that you have. One is a very skillful technique to be able to turn more of your life into practice because you can do it anywhere, anytime. And once you get good at it, it doesn't look like you're doing anything. And two, um, instead of holding your mind on an object like the breath or even body scanning or a visualized image or reciting something, resting on the nature of your actual consciousnesses gives you insight into who and what you are. So there's a lot of benefits to this kind of practice. And once you can do it with your 5 external senses, you make them less reactive, you make them more tame. Then you can do it on consciousness yourself, consciousness itself, rather, which is much more difficult. And you may have heard in some places, well, the best thing to do is just do non-meditation. Just rest your mind and don't do anything and let whatever happens happen in your mind. The trouble with this is, unless you can do that for a really long period of time, I mean hours a day, then what your mind has a tendency to do is just run from object to object to object in the 5 external senses, and then sometimes land on what's happening in your mental consciousness. And it just runs around and you don't actually know where your mind is or what it's doing. So if you do it in this method, using this method, you tame the 5 external senses and make them non-reactive so that your mind isn't constantly doing laps in your 5 external senses, and then you pull it inside and you observe mental content without modifying it. Now there's much less distraction, and you have much greater chance of being able to just observe all this content that's occurring on the surface of the mind without the mind getting involved or running off to in one of 5 directions. You see? And then occasionally the mental chatter will stop and the mind will slowly become aware of what the mind is without stuff appearing in front of it. You see? So Foundation 4, so-called, is Mahamudra practice, a very long, proud history of that practice. They say, the great masters say, it's fantastic for beginners, which is why I'm teaching it to you all, but also it can take you basically all the way down the path. So it's a practice you can take all the way down the path. And for those of you who prefer Zen style practice, Chan style practice, just sitting, this sort of thing, once you get to the point you can actually rest on the nature of your consciousnesses, it becomes that kind of practice. But because we're teaching the senses one by one and opening them, and it gives you a little bit more to do before you get to that point, and gives you a lot more feedback on whether you're being successful in what you're doing instead of just sort of floundering around and wondering what's happening. Okay, so in the comment section, Nat, welcome. For those who don't know, Nat's been with me for quite a while now. Watching TV, jumped on the phone to ask white light, gold, what are your comments on applying seeing that with the eyes closed? Had that happen a number of times. It came up in a recent retreat. So this is my opinion. I haven't read this anywhere, but this is my opinion. I think sometimes if you stimulate the visual aspect of your mind, light appears. Like, for example, we know that you could take a little electric prod and prod a certain part in your brain, and white light and stuff will appear. And I think in certain types of meditative practice, you're just pooling a lot of electrical bandwidth, you could say, a lot of attentional bandwidth in the area of the brain where the visual cortex is. And so I think sometimes you get flashes of white light and so forth when you're just putting attention around the head. I think that's one aspect. Another aspect is it's just a known thing. If you close your eyes for a while, you'll see lights. That's for whatever reason, not through your eyelids or anything. Your mind just produces light on the inside of your eyelids as some kind of minor hallucination. And then, of course, there are specific practices where if you're just sitting and developing concentration, sometimes there are stages in concentration where you see light, and that's just a normal part of the process. So I'd have to have a lot more information on what's going on, and even then, I might not be sure. You might need to ask the people that you were training with and that know the techniques that you're doing really well, and they might be able to tell you. Okay. All right, my friends, we have reached 1 hour. Are there any final questions before we wrap it up for the day? Like I said, I'm meeting with my teacher after this class and have to do something in between as well. So a little bit tight today. If there are more questions, I'll answer one more question before we go. Also, for those who might be new, I'll just let you know, I do all this for free. I also make quite a bit of content for free. I do my retreats for free. All of my course materials are available for free, even though I do have them organized in somewhere you could become a contributor, sort of like a monthly contributor. Actually, Nat and Cleric are both part of that course. But in order to continue doing all this for free for everyone, I do need some people to contribute so that I can keep the lights on and continue upgrading all this beautiful stuff that we're transmitting the signal on today. So if you felt this was valuable and this is your first time, there are links down below where you can become a recurring member. You can do a one-off donation. You can become a YouTube member. Lots of different ways to chip in if you felt so inclined. And since it's early days, it's actually quite important that I get some people together to support this, or I won't be able to keep doing it. Okay. Let's see. Makes sense. Mental imagery. Felt so happy. Had mental imagery just before it. Yeah. I mean, it could be concentration. Sometimes in retreat too, you just get weird stuff that happens in retreat, where you'll have memories, you'll have images, you have all sorts of stuff because you're making your mind more subtle for a period of time. Yeah. If you share my GoFundMe, you can share it in whatever words you like. I do have a little bit of stuff written on the GoFundMe itself. You could just copy paste if you wanted. If you're going to use the GoFundMe, I would recommend there's a little slider, and you can slide down the percentage that goes to GoFundMe. If you want it to go to me instead of GoFundMe, slide that slider down to the bottom, All right, my friends. I must unfortunately depart at this time. It was a pleasure to see you. Hope to see you again soon. Don't pass away before I do. I'll be back tomorrow for another one of these with a bit of luck and maybe a Q&A, but I've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline that's you're all going to love. So I'm prioritizing getting that stuff going rather than doing more Q&As. Got a bunch of people lined up now to do interviews and do dialogues, and a new piece of content coming out responding to Ravi Zacharias, like I said, next couple of days. I'm going to be interviewing a Advaita Vedanta practitioner who also has a PhD, lives in India, is part of a proper Advaita Vedanta lineage. Interviewing another lay practitioner who has a very rare lineage of Shaolin practice that's a full system of both body and mind transformation. And what else? Also, I'm going to be interviewed a couple of times in the next couple weeks. A couple pretty interesting things I'm going on, but I'm basically going to go anywhere that people want me to go to talk about this stuff, because if there are humans around, I want them to know you can do this stuff and it's worth doing. So keep an ear out for that as well. You'll see me appearing in some interesting places. Okay. All right. I will see you all tomorrow if things go